that subscribe button now.
Listen, honey, I've seen so many smart, beautiful people waste years of their precious life on the wrong person just because they missed one tiny, glaring red flag during the first month. You know what I'm talking about. Sit down, take a sip of that latte, and let Auntie tell you a story that might just save your soul. I remember this one evening in a dimly lit steakhouse in Midtown Manhattan. The ambiance was perfect, the jazz was soft, and the man across from me was everything a woman is supposed to want. Successful, articulate, and wearing a suit that cost more than my first car. But then the waiter brought the wrong side dish. It was a simple mistake, really. But in a split second, the man's face transformed. He didn't just point out the error, he belittled the server. He used a tone that sounded like he was talking to someone who wasn't even human. That right there? That's what we call the waiter test. You see, people always put on their shiny armor when they're trying to win you over. They hide their flaws behind a wall of charm and expensive wine. But if you want to see the real man or the real woman, you have to look at how they treat the person who can do absolutely nothing for them. Manners aren't just about which fork to use at a gala, sweetie. They are the natural exposure of a person's worldview and character. If someone is only kind when there's a benefit involved, they aren't kind at all. They're just playing a game of transaction. Trust me, if he treats the server like a ghost or barks orders at someone just doing their job, it's only a matter of time before he treats you the same way once the honeymoon phase ends. Character is what's left when the profit motive is gone. It's the difference between someone who values humans and someone who only values tools. And listen, this isn't just about dating. It's the golden rule for every relationship in your life. But wait, don't go yet, because the reason we tolerate these people in the first place is a whole different trap we need to talk about. Listen, I know what you're thinking. You see that guy in the restaurant, the one who was rude to the server, and your heart starts to ache. You think, oh, poor soul, he must have had a rough childhood. Maybe if I love him enough, if I'm patient enough, he'll finally learn how to be kind. Stop right there. Wake up, sweetie. You are a woman with a life to live, not a nonprofit organization for emotional rehabilitation. People who treat others with contempt, who bark at strangers or belittle those below them, they aren't just having a bad day. They are usually battling deep-seated inferiority complexes or a really twisted sense of self-worth. A person with high self-esteem, someone who truly respects themselves, never feels the need to trample on others to feel tall. Those who act out are often lacking that inner foundation. But here is the tough love you need. You don't have enough energy in your soul to fix someone else's broken foundation. Why would you spend your precious time and energy on someone you have to manage, like a crisis? Life is far too short to spend it stressed out, trying to curate a relationship with someone who makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells. Unless it's a temporary business situation where you're literally getting paid to endure it, you have no obligation to stay in that toxic loop. You should be out there enjoying the company of people who align with your spirit, people who let you be yourself without the emotional labor. You have to realize that you cannot change a person who doesn't see a problem with themselves. Real transformation only happens when someone feels the internal hunger to be better. It's a solo journey they have to take. You can provide all the correct information or love in the world, but if they aren't ready to receive it, you're just pouring water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Protect your peace, honey. It's the most valuable thing you own. But speaking of peace, we need to talk about that little screen in your hand, because there's a whole different kind of trash pile you've been digging through lately. Look at you, sweetie. It's 2 a.m., and you're huddled under your covers, staring at that glowing screen until your eyes sting. You're scrolling through comments, aren't you? Or maybe you're ego searching, typing your own name into a search bar, bracing yourself for the sting of a stranger's insult. Stop it, right now. Put the phone on the nightstand and listen to your auntie. I want to give you a visual that will make you never want to look at a hate comment again. Think of the internet like an old-fashioned communal outdoor toilet. In the past, the door was shut, and if you wanted to see the mess, you had to go out of your way to find it. But today, thanks to these smartphones, the door to that toilet is wide open, and it's sitting right in your pocket, chirping at you all day long. My question is, why on earth are you walking up to an open toilet, sticking your head inside, and then acting surprised that it smells? Listen to me carefully. Those hate comments, those trolls, those bitter people hiding behind anonymous avatars, they aren't describing you. They are writing their own biographies. A hateful comment is a 100% accurate indicator of the commenter's lack of class and character, but it has absolutely zero to do with your worth. When someone dumps trash on a beautiful sidewalk, it doesn't mean the sidewalk is ugly. It means the person is a litterer. So why are you taking their trash and carrying it around in your heart like it's a precious heirloom? You don't need to lose your faith in humanity or sink into a depression because of people who aren't even brave enough to show their faces. The world has always had these people, but now technology just makes their whispers sound like screams. Stop digging through the digital sewer hoping to find a diamond. You'll only get dirty. You don't have to convince the trolls they're wrong, because people blinded by their own bias aren't looking for the truth. They're looking for a target. The best revenge? Keep your peace. Keep putting out your positive energy and your good information. The right people will hear you, and the others? Well, they'll still be sitting by that open toilet while you're out enjoying the sunshine. Now breathe. Because once you stop caring about the noise, we can finally talk about what it actually takes to survive in this world. And trust me, it's not about being an alpha. Now let's talk about this obsession with being an alpha, sweetie. Everywhere you look on social media, there's some guy in a flashy car telling you that life is a battlefield and only the strongest survive. But honey, that's not science, that's just an ego trip. Let's look at what Charles Darwin actually said back in 1859. He didn't write his masterpiece to give people an excuse to be bullies. He wrote it to tell us the truth about our mother, nature. Most people completely misunderstand the phrase survival of the fittest. They hear fittest and think it means the strongest, the richest, or the loudest person in the room. But in biology, fittest simply means the most suitable for the environment. It's a value-neutral term. It's not about being better or superior. When people twisted this into a might makes right philosophy, it led to some of the most horrific crimes in human history. Darwin's real lesson was one of humility. We aren't some special, separate masters of the universe. We are just one small part of the great, evolving web of life. We need to be humble before the truth. You see, in the long run, the alpha who tramples on everyone else doesn't actually win. In a human community, the person who remains and thrives is the one with manners and integrity. Skills might get you hired, but your character is what keeps you in the room. Kindness isn't a weakness, honey. It's a sophisticated survival strategy. It's about recognizing that you might be wrong, that the weirdo in the corner might have the right idea, and that keeping an open mind is the only way to truly evolve. So stop trying to be the strongest and start being the most adaptable. Because the ultimate form of adaptation, it's designing a life that actually fits you, not a script written by someone else. And that brings us to a very famous philosopher who knew a thing or two about being a main character. Honey, let's talk about that cheesy phrase everyone loves to use. I'm just trying to find myself. Listen carefully to your auntie. You aren't a lost set of car keys, sweetie. You can't find a self because a self isn't something that's just sitting there waiting for you under a rock or at the end of a hiking trail in Bali. Your self is actually just a complex collection of signals in your brain. It's not a hidden treasure. You don't find it, you build it day by day, choice by choice. One of my favorite intellectual mentors, John Stuart Mill, had a brilliant take on this in his classic, On Liberty. He argued that the only life truly worth living is the one you design yourself, in the way you believe is right. Not because your way is objectively the best or the most successful by society's standards, but simply because it's the one you chose. You see, life itself doesn't come with a pre-written meaning. It's a blank canvas, and you are the architect who has to breathe meaning into it every single day. It's all about metacognition, that fancy word for your ability to watch your own mind in action. There's the you that lives your life, and then there's the observer you that watches that life unfold. Sometimes they don't get along, and that's perfectly normal. You might look at yourself today and think, I really don't like who I was in that meeting, or I'm embarrassed by how I acted 5 years ago. But listen, honey, feeling ashamed of your past self is actually a good sign. It means you've grown enough to see the flaws you couldn't see before. That tension between who you are and who you want to be is exactly how you sculpt a soul. Stop trying to follow someone else's standard script and start drawing your own blueprints. Because when you finally learn to be the architect of your own happiness, you realize that the best parts of life aren't found in a grand plan, but in the small, delicious inputs you choose for yourself. So here we are, at the end of our little chat. You know, I've officially reached that age where the government gives me a discount on the subway. I'm a certified senior now. Some people call this the twilight years, but I call it the era of ultimate freedom. People often ask me, Auntie, do you look back at your life and regret anything? And tell them honestly, I try not to look back at all. What's the point in reliving old mistakes? Even if my life wasn't perfect, it was mine. If you look at your past self and feel a little embarrassed or cringy, don't beat yourself up, celebrate. It's the ultimate proof that you've leveled up enough to recognize your own old flaws. It means you are a better, more evolved person today than you were yesterday. Instead of dwelling on the past, I've become a connoisseur of inputs. I live by a simple philosophy. What you eat becomes your body, and what you read becomes your soul. I'm obsessed with high-quality input. For me, happiness isn't some grand, far-off goal. It's the simple, tactile joy of a real book. I love the smell of the paper, the scent of the ink, and that crisp, satisfying sound of a page turning. It's a full sensory experience that a cold smartphone screen can never replace. And food? Oh, honey, never underestimate the power of a perfect meal. Finding a hidden gem of a bistro where the food is unexpectedly divine is my version of a spiritual experience. My ultimate goal for the rest of my journey is simple: to keep my independence. I want to stand on my own 2 feet, walk wherever I please, and spend my days doing exactly what I love until the very last curtain call. Remember what we talked about, sweetie. Your life has no preset meaning until you choose to breathe life into it. There is no objective standard for a good life. There is only the life that is suitable for you. So go out there, be the architect of your own soul, and design a life that makes you want to wake up every morning. You're doing better than you think. Your auntie loves you. See you next time.